Report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle. We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Now it's Shots Fired with your hosts TJ Kurgan, Dinah Death Milberg, and the lovely Crystal Powers.
And we're back for another weekend of Shots Fired. Welcome to the show. This is TJ Kurgan, a.k.a. Sig Glock and Colt. And I have both of my partners with me today. The lovely Crystal Powers is here.
Hello.
We haven't seen her in weeks.
I know, it's been a while.
Where have you been?
Just hunkering down.
Hunkering down? Scared of Chinese balloons?
No, although I did see it. Did you see it?
You did? Oh, yeah. Everybody saw it because
I didn't see it.
The thing was so high in the sky that you it could see us and hear us for 1,200 miles. You know, so that's how big of a swath of data it was collecting, 1,200 miles. So in other words, on the ground, if you were 1,200 miles south of us, you could still see it.
Oh, so it's definitely saw me flicking it off then.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Matter of fact, I'm sure the Chinese have tons of video of Midwesterners doing all kinds of flicking, flipping,
throwing,
mooning,
tossing,
shooting. I don't know how many people, made the jokes about shooting at it. Dinah Death Milberg, can we shoot at balloons that are 60,000 feet in the sky?
No. Not with any rifle I'm aware of anyone owning.
Yeah, even the U.S. Air Force evidently has problems with that, considering one of the recent alien balloons that they also shot down in the last week over Lake Huron, they missed.
Really?
Yeah.
The first report I heard was they were claiming the missile had vanished.
Yeah, I heard that too. So
it had just vanished out of thin air.
The alien conspiracy theories are going rampant and have been all week long. And I'm actually kind of upset that they're dissipating so quickly. I was really kind of hoping that this would last a minute.
It's been entertaining.
But
I'm disappointed I haven't heard any of them.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've been living under a rock, hunkering down like Crystal, what's happened is everybody knows about the Chinese spy balloon, right? The Biden administration, it came in through Alaska and Canada and up into Montana, right over our ICBM fields, intercontinental ballistic missiles. And then it flew a J-hook south and over Missouri, right over Bagram. Not Bagram. That's in Iraq or something, or Afghanistan. Afghanistan. What's the one near Missouri?
Alex's eyes got so wide.
Come on, help me. We're on the radio. Jesus.
He's so triggered right now.
What is the Air Force base in Missouri where they run the bombers? No, Scott's in Illinois. Fort Leonard Wood?
That's not an Air Force base. It's an Army base. There isn't an Air Force base in Missouri.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, unless it's an Army base that they fly bombers out of.
Probably.
Yeah.
The only one I'm aware of is Scott Air Force Base.
Yeah, well, we'll figure this out after the next break. But it
Are
actually
we
flew
on the radio
over...
live right now?
Yes.
Oh, someone's yelling into the radio the answer right now.
Yeah, they're yelling. They're yelling into the radio, and they can't. If they type it into the app, maybe we could see it. But so anyway, it flew over that, and then it just happened to fade just a little bit further to the south.
Yeah.
And flew right over. What's the military bases down there in North Carolina?
I don't know what they changed.
Fort Bragg?
It's not Fort Bragg anymore. That triggered too many people. So they had to change the name.
People don't like braggers?
No, it was
Named
apparently
after,
a Civil War Southern general, so they had to change it to like Fort
Happiness.
Gender Fluid or something. I don't
Wow.
know.
But I just thought it was really interesting that this balloon, who the American government is now claiming, it was Chinese, it was a spy balloon, but it just blew off course, blah, blah, blah. I just find it interesting that this accidental blowing off course of the balloon made it traverse the country and go right over all those key military installations.
Yeah, it's a little like happenstance that would do that.
It's a pretty cool science, though, if the Chinese made it happen. Because
Do you
think about how
actually think it's the Chinese, though?
Well, no, because honestly, if the American government tells you it's something, you can rest assured it's not that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty much, COVID wasn't COVID, vaccine wasn't vaccine, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't a Chinese spy balloon.
I mean, let's face it, it's Chinese made, which means it would have launched, gone over the ocean, and crashed.
Yeah.
And then there would have been 18 updates to get it back in the air.
But to bring Crystal up with the update, so after they shoot down the Chinese spy balloon over water too deep to really recover anything out over the Atlantic Ocean.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Because they didn't want to hurt anybody in Montana by dropping this thing out of the sky.
It's all large, thick population.
The Midwest, the flyover states. That
Montana,
largely
literally, where there's literally nothing anywhere.
Okay.
You know, you might have smoked an Indian, you know, or a cowboy in a pickup truck, or a bull.
I don't know. I feel
but
like
anyway,
yeah.
So future Yellowstone ranch opportunities for new parts of this series.
Right. There's actually a show about aliens that kind of is like Yellowstone. I saw it on Netflix, but it was super weird.
What?
I can't go into that.
Have my attention.
Well, we'll have to talk about that after the break too, because I'm not prepared to discuss this alien Yellowstone. But so then, because President Biden gets so much ball busting for not shooting down the balloon, he decides to go on a balloon shooting spree. Literally. They shot down 3 more unidentified flying objects that were supposedly gray or silver and cylindrical.
You mean like the B.F. Goodrich blimp?
So what else in the world that you think flying around that are unidentified objects are also cylindrical and gray? Spaceships, right? So the whole world goes meme crazy about, you know, us shooting down all these extraterrestrials.
Yeah, I might have seen something about it.
So we shot down one over Alaska. We shot down one over Canada. And then we shot down one over Lake Huron. It was originally reported as over
Michigan.
Lake Michigan, but they actually shot it down over Lake Huron. What Alex was talking about was the first shot they fired from the F-16, I guess. I thought it was a Raptor 22, but it was actually an F-16 over Lake Huron that fired an AIM-9 Sidewinder missile, and the first missile missed the balloon. How?
I don't know.
How
I feel
do you
it's
miss
kind of a slow-moving, really large
a 40-mile-an-hour balloon, a balloon that's supposedly moving at 40 miles an hour, and you're in an F-16, you know, and how do you miss that?
Don't they track their targets? So like
well, I guess if it had metal on it, they'd be able to track it, but maybe they couldn't track it because there was no heat signature, because it had no heat source.
Why launch a missile when they have 20-millimeter cannons?
Yeah, well, I think the reason for that, honestly, just not getting all nerdy, but F-16s can't fly to 60,000 feet, right? So if the balloon's at 50, 60,000 feet, they've got to launch a missile at it because they can't go that high. We've only got a few planes that can get up that high.
Really?
Yeah, they can't get it up. Not up there. Not up there.
That's a shame.
So anyway, we drop all these balloons. We miss one. And then just miraculously, right around the same time, have a massive explosion of a chemical train in Palestine, Ohio. And I'm thinking, maybe that rocket didn't just vanish into midair. Maybe that rocket landed in Palestine on a train track.
Somebody have to look at the trajectory, like, what's the range on a Sidewinder? Like,
right. You know, because
somebody's got to know
the
that.
Air Force at NORAD are saying that they tracked that rocket all the way to the water, that it crashed into Lake Huron. But let's put this in perspective. All right? So it's like shooting in the air on New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
I'm in my F-16. It's New Year's Eve. There's a balloon 20,000 feet above me, and I fire a rocket straight up at it or up at an arc. Mm-hmm. Do you really think that rocket's going to land in Lake Huron?
Probably not.
I mean, I don't know. Somebody's got to tell me, you know, how much energy, you know, obviously it's going to depend on the angle of the dangle. You know, how much angle did it have when they fired it?
It is. That would make sense that Biden's like all trying to show how hard he is by shooting down an air balloon.
And then he nukes an entire town, and that's why. So to talk about the train derailment, which is the biggest story of the year as far as cataclysmic events in the United States.
They're now finding it's affecting water in Virginia.
Yeah, it's you know, they're using terminology that they basically nuked a town. You know, and the government has evidently admitted to having video of the train derailment.
Really?
Yes, but they won't play it.
Because it's a missile hitting it.
Because it's a missile hitting it. No. I mean, you know, I jest about the missile hitting it thing. You know,
kind of.
I don't think it's on the same days because it's been 11 days, I think, or 12 since the train derailment.
I can't keep track of it. It's something new every day.
And remember, this is recorded on Thursday. So if you're listening to this on Saturday and you're trying to do the math, you know, it's Thursday.
You know, the way things are going, if we're even here Saturday to listen to this show, if the apocalypse hasn't started yet.
Well, the apocalypse has started, but it started in
Kind of
Turkey.
going really, really slowly here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a slow train wreck.
Except for that one.
Yeah.
Because that one happened really fast.
Well, so I think there's something going on with these train wrecks, right? I am a conspiracy theorist. Yes, I love conspiracies. I love it when they come true. It warms my heart.
Yeah.
And that's been happening so much.
Not so much for me. I hate being right about these conspiracies. I hate it because it really shows how absolutely dastardly the people who plan these are.
Yeah, but it
That's
also
the perfect
shows
word
that you
for
have
it.
an understanding that there is evil in the world, and it's there is good, there is evil. They can't exist without one another, and and that most people are just sheep and don't think the evil really exists, or they don't want to. They've got their blinders on.
I know, but that doesn't warm my heart.
Doesn't warm your heart. Yeah, I just like being right, but I'm a guy.
I hate being right about these things because it's so horrible, especially when I try to warn people or I say things like, hey, maybe listen to your intuition or discernment or something. And people are like, I'm going to need to find that in the New York Post or my own doctor has to tell me before I believe it.
Or on Instagram.
Well, someday when I'm if I am lucky enough to live into my 80s or my 90s, I'm going to call you and I'm going to tell you that you were right about seed oils and you saved my life.
That might make me feel good.
Yeah, see, there is some
That
good
might warm
side
my
to
heart.
being right about the conspiracy theorist.
Only if anybody listens. I'm going to be the only one.
All right, so we're coming up on the end of the first segment. We do have a new show sponsor this week. Now that we have 50,000 watts, I think Alex is getting it queued up to play the commercial.
Yes.
I want to welcome Arby's as a sponsor of Shots Fired. We'll be right back after a message from our sponsor.
Here at Arby's, we believe Black Lives Matter. So for this Black History Month, we pledge to not pay any of our white employees and allow African-American customers to just start whipping them whenever they want, like that one scene from Django Unchained. Arby's, we have the reparations.
And the beef.
Oh, my God.
I just want to throw a disclaimer out at the beginning of this segment of Shots Fired that we actually have no sponsors of this show. Nobody is crazy enough to sponsor this show, and anything you hear on this show may or may not be the opinion of me or anybody else on this show, and please don't sue us.
That about covers it.
Yeah.
That about covers it.
Yeah, they actually throw a disclaimer on before our show. I don't know if you've ever heard that before.
Oh, yeah.
But they
I've
cover,
heard that.
they CYA at 93.3 Real Talk.
I mean, do you blame them?
No, actually, I blame them for putting me on the radio.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So we're talking about the train. Today's this week's theme is planes, trains, and balloons. Right? We got planes shooting rockets at balloons and hitting trains, and trains blowing up and creating probably the biggest ecological disaster, human disaster in this country's history in a long time. And I don't know.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's even worse than seed oil. It's worse than worse than antibiotic chicken, because even the chickens are dying from this air out there and the water. All the fish are dead.
Fish.
The
Yeah.
chickens are dead. I'm hearing rumors that the foxes are dead.
This is how we get Man Bear Pig. I'm just going to say that now. This is how we get Man Bear Pig.
Man, bear, pig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Al Gore tried to warn us.
I mean, the people in that town are up in arms. So much so that the train company, was it Norfolk Southern or what?
I think so,
That
yeah.
sounds-
Yep. So they did not have any representatives show up at the town meeting last night for fear of violence.
Yeah,
You
so
know.
not showing up really helped the situation out.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Now, you heard that reporters were being arrested on the ground there?
Yeah, that there was quite a few different reporters trying to get in and do video, do something on the scene or near the scene, and were getting arrested. And now they've allegedly been released, but, I mean, I've not heard much follow-up other than quite a few reporters were arrested.
You know what I find incredulous? The fact that, I grew up during Chernobyl. I remember that.
Yeah.
Other people older than me can probably remember 3 Mile Island. And in the past, there's been other disasters, volcano eruptions or whatever, that put a ton of ash in the air. that also causes acid rain. And the media would cover the story day in and day out, and they would warn people with a map, a weather map of where this is going, which way the wind's blowing, where are these chemicals in the air at, what ground is going to be affected, what rivers are affected, and you're not seeing any of that.
You would think that this would be a media, I mean, they love catastrophes because it gives them something to actually talk about.
Yeah.
And
If
they
they
can
were
run
not
their
state-owned,
24-hour coverage.
then we would be hearing about this all the time. But the fact
100%.
is, we now live in a communist world where everything is state-owned media and everything is blatantly controlled. And it proves to the point that they absolutely don't care about you. I think it's hysterical that so many people, fell for this mask BS with COVID.
Yeah.
That gave 99.9% of us a runny nose, and we lost our sense of taste and smell for a minute. But yet, and they were so worried about our health that we had to wear this mask. But now you have literally tens of millions of gallons or pounds of this whatever chemicals going into the atmosphere.
We've got the potential for real acid rain, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And
That's one of the side effects of this stuff is that when it mixes with H2O, it creates acid. So you have, this particleized stuff in the air. And why is it all in the air? Well, because they decided to burn it off.
A controlled burn, though. It was controlled.
Oh, sure it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing, it's just the next level of unbelievable proof that the government hates us and doesn't give two SHTs if we live or not.
You took my job.
Yeah. And I need to do. You are way better at that than he is. Way better.
I don't know. He did a pretty good job.
I've been training him for the last couple weeks because you weren't here.
Make it sound like I'm a golden retriever or something. Just send a treat out every time he says it.
I'm thinking it's more of a Mastiff and a Pit Bull mix.
Yeah, except I haven't getting any treats.
Never seen a Labrador Retriever with a neck that size.
That's a true story. True story.
Or that many tattoos. That
Yeah.
dog been to prison? All right, so we've had an active shooter this week. Another one.
I can't keep track.
Yeah, well, it's a.
There was another one last night, but it was like 3 people.
Yeah, I saw
Somewhere in
that. There was.
Texas, and
I got an alert
disappeared.
that there was it was a mall food court in Texas.
I'm gonna go with gang activity.
Yeah, if
at
it's
that
a
point.
shooting in a food court, usually it's gang activity.
Yeah.
The one that was not, that was stopped by the kid. What's the name of the drill? The kid that shot the guy from 40 yards away with, like a pistol.
Yeah,
We should prepare for this show more often.
Well,
But
I didn't know you
anyway,
were gonna bring him up.
well, I mean, no, but that
Elijah
is
Dickinson.
Elijah Dickinson.
Yeah,
Yes,
boom.
there you go. Drop the mic. The reason we were talking about that is because you said most food court shootings are gang related.
Yeah,
And
this
that
in that
particular
case wasn't.
one was not. But what it does tell you is if you are going to be in a food court, which I
Stay
don't
strapped.
Stay strapped.
stay strapped or get clapped at the Tippins. Funny story, side story.
Yeah, is that still around?
I don't
man?
know if it's still around, but
Their
when
caramel apple pie, if they're listening, top notch.
I'm going to tell a story about my childhood.
Oh boy.
So I think the what is that, statute of limitations is probably up. I'm try not to incriminate myself here. When I was a youngster, I used to hang out at Northwest Plaza.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
Northwest Plaza at that time, when I first started hanging out, there was an outside mall. Okay, but
Really?
people cruised around it, right? So the mall was like a park of stores. And it was like all Main Street cobbly, like inside a network of stores. And then you were able to cruise around it. Then they built it into a real mall, like what you think of when you think of a mall. Just a massive building all connected with different doors at every end and different levels of parking lots. And we used to cruise that.
Yeah.
And
Wait, when you say cruise, you mean just drive around it for fun?
drive
'cause
around it
looks
in
cool.
a lowered Chevy S10 with 15-inch subs in the trunk,
Bless.
slam, just flipping quarters from the base on the roof, and trying to pick up girls that had their hairspray really high in the
Oh,
front.
yeah.
Had those bangs sprayed up. This was the 80s and the 90s, man.
I want that hair to
But
come back.
so at the food court at Northwest Plaza, I used to have an acquaintance. It was he was gang related, let's just say, and he sold guns out of the Tippins in the food court. Like you knew that if you needed a chopper, all you needed to go to Tippins, get a hold of so-and-so.
Wow.
And he'd take you in the back hallway at the mall and sell you whatever you needed to get.
Where's this guy now?
Get you your French
Probably
silk
prison.
and your 40.
Based on his career choices at that point, I would have to venture to say he's in prison or dead.
Or baking pies.
Or an alderman. Or he's an alderman in North St. Louis County.
Oh, okay.
Very possible.
Is that...
Wow.
Was Northwest Plaza the one that had the food court, and then like down below it was the arcade?
Oh, man.
I get that in Jamestown confused.
No, Jamestown had the arcade and the food court on the separate levels, I think.
Okay.
Did it?
Yeah.
No. No, I honestly don't remember.
I can't remember
I don't
either.
think there was a lower arcade to Northwest, though, because
I just remember going to one of them constantly to go to Tippins, and
Yeah,
here I
Crestwood
could have
might
been
have it.
buying guns this whole time and missed out. Get your French silk and your 40. That's a winning combination right there.
And I never ever did that, by the way. Just saying. So anyway, we had a mass shooting this week at Michigan State University, so another college attack. We're going to talk about that when we come back after this break. But before that, I want you to text the word tactical to 59769. Text the word tactical to 59769 to join our tactical text message club. You'll get special deals on 9mm and night vision and guns and all kinds of other gear. Text tactical to 59769. Standard SMS data rates may apply.
Okay, something is happening in Michigan, and I am totally unaware of what's going on.
Well, it's not just in Michigan. Something's happening everywhere. But in Michigan, evidently, just today, there's another train derailment, today being Thursday.
It's a coincidence, I'm sure.
Well, how many train derailments did you say we've had, Drew? Five train derailments.
One in Texas.
In 5 days. One in Texas, one in, I think, South Carolina,
Yeah.
Tennessee. Michigan, Ohio. Yeah. And Drew, our producer, was just pointing out that this could very well, we're talking conspiracy theory here, that this very well could be an attack on red states, because it definitely feels like an attack. It feels like sabotage, whether it be the KGB doing it or the Chinese doing it or, Antifa doing it or the Biden administration, CIA doing it, whatever.
The one in Detroit had hazardous materials on it.
Yeah, almost every one of these trains have had hazardous materials on
So
it.
convenient.
Well, I did.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a car accident, I guess, in Arizona. That one to me is like, I don't know, because there's probably hazmat vehicle accidents in this country every day somewhere.
Right.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, something is definitely going on. I feel like that hippie 70s song where you got to look around, something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't want us to know what it is, and that's why they're telling us it's Chinese spy balloons and it's aliens, and they're absolutely ignoring the train thing. Like, Biden spoke yesterday about the railroads and didn't even mention the disaster. He hasn't gone to Ohio. He has no plans to go to Ohio. You know why?
Well, yeah, because his role is to be the worst president.
Well, and the air is poisonous there. Why would he go there?
He could die.
Yeah, because those people are all going to have cancer in like 15 years.
Well, apparently
or less.
they're already claiming that they're breaking out in rashes.
Yeah.
Like they're already having
Those people
symptoms.
need to get out of there.
Yeah.
That's real.
I feel really bad for him because I would get out of there. Like, I would be gone. I'd be in Florida right now. I live right down the street from a train track. We probably all do to a point. Think about it. How close is the nearest train to you?
They're pretty close, actually.
Yeah, you live out west. And, and I live out west off of 70. I can hear the train from my bedroom at night.
Yeah.
So I'm probably 1 mile from the train tracks.
Well, the sad part is I feel like a lot of those people, if you're renting, it might be a little easier for you to move. But if you own a home, you can't just pack up, your job's there, your children go to
these
school
people
there.
in Palestine, Ohio are not wealthy. They can't just pack up and be like, I'm headed to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Their lives are there. Their livestock was there till it died.
Mm-hmm.
Their children are there. Their house is there. Their job is there.
Mm-hmm.
They can't leave. And so they have to just keep breathing that stuff. And now they're going to be bathing in that water. They're going to be drinking that water.
They need to get water filters. I don't even know if they make, because water filters don't filter out every single thing.
Right.
There's different types of water filters. And most people who have water filters, they only have them for their tap water that they drink. But
Yeah,
they
those filters are just going to pull out minerals and stuff, but
right.
not necessarily organic, volatile compounds.
Right, but then they shower in that water. They don't have a filter for their showers,
Right.
Or their bathtubs or whatever.
You're still getting absorption through the skin.
And boiling, it's not going to help.
No.
It's not like it's a living bacteria. So, and people are like, oh, the water will be fine. Well, then why are all the fish dead, bro? The fish were dead before anything else were dead. The fish died like almost instantly. Just think about what that means.
Yeah, that's got to be some pretty
The
high
stuff is in
levels.
the air, but yet the fish underwater died. How much of this stuff got into the water? Probably not a lot because it's in the air. It's just what settled so far that killed the fish.
Pretty catastrophic.
It is catastrophic, and our government is ignoring it. The railroad is covering it up, and
Didn't they have some sort of like the railroad workers? I remember reading something.
There's
recently.
a huge rail yard strike.
Yes, and they only have like 1 day off a year or something crazy like that. Like they have really poor conditions. So
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of neglect there too.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's a contributing
But
factor.
I saw too that they've done some lobbying to be able to not have such high restrictions on their brakes. Brakes aren't important. But I don't think this has anything to do with brakes. No. I don't think this has anything to do with anything other than an attack on either, like Drew said. I mean, pointing out that the majority of the places, the states where these things are happening over the last 5 days, the majority of them are red. Is Michigan a red state? I don't think so. Is it? It's kind of so that's the one variable. Kind of like when we bounce back to our active shooter at Michigan State University. That story is not really much in the news, right?
No, and there's still not much info.
Well, anytime they
it's
find
been
out
enough
the
time.
shooter is a black dude, they immediately, it's not a story anymore.
No.
And the media doesn't report on
If
the
he
fact
was an
that
18-year-old white kid, you would be hearing about this every 30 to 45 seconds.
Absolutely. So they say they have no motive of why this dude started shooting people at Michigan State University at 8:30 p.m.
The closest thing they have is that after his mom passed away, he became very angry and reclusive. That's it.
And he has a history of, get this, mental health issues.
See, I heard they nothing diagnosed, though, and no medication.
And other people are reporting that he is a convicted felon, blah, blah, blah. But you pointed out that is not necessarily the case.
Yeah, the charges were dismissed. He was brought up on felony charges for concealing a firearm without a permit, but the DA dismissed the felony charges.
Right. So he was carrying a gun at some point, got arrested, got charged. The DA then dismissed the charges. He was not convicted.
Yeah, so not a convicted felon if you're not convicted.
Right. So he starts shooting at the university at 8:30, and then it was just kind of weird that he
just pop in a different area of the campus.
Most of the time, law enforcement's response, is rapid. Swift violence of action, assault, get it done. Like what happened here in St. Louis. They take out the shooter within 60 seconds, a couple minutes of him starting to get to work. Time is of the essence for sure. But in this case, the law enforcement were chasing him around like Keystone cops on the university.
Yeah.
They'd have shots fired, people down in one building, and they'd respond to that building, and then they'd get reports of shots fired and people down in another building. They go to that building, and then they'd have shots fired outside, and then they'd run outside, and then they'd have shots fired down the street.
Seems sus.
It does. And then finally, law enforcement made contact with him, and he took his own life at approximately 11:30.
But off campus. So, tactical terms, I'm thinking, why would you not have had a outer cordon set up around the campus, no one in or out without getting screened, and you just start methodically clearing?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that you would do a cordon. If you got there 5 minutes after the shooting started, you figure out, okay, to somebody doing 60 mile an hour, how far away can they get? Set the cordon up there.
Yeah. But no, the fact that he was able to go from building to building freely while there's cops there and then get off campus without getting caught is asinine.
And of course, they have no motive as to why he did this, supposedly.
So far.
I asked the question nobody else asked, is it race? Is it racism? Black guy. Black people don't typically go off the handle and just start shooting people at random. They typically have a reason why they shoot people. Yeah. they owed me money or something like that.
Yeah.
And in this case, it seemed to be more of a crazy white person type thing where he's just killing people at random.
Yeah.
Right. But that was not the case. He didn't leave any kind of notes or memos.
It wasn't just white people killed.
Yeah, well, that was the thing I was trying to remember what I was thinking. I thought maybe it was racism, but one of the victims was black. So
I
there's
did see it was a white guy and a white girl, and then it was a black girl.
Yeah.
Right. That passed away.
Yeah. So I mean, in theory, you would eliminate racism as a cause, unless of course she was just in the background and he didn't follow all the rules of engagement.
I'm really struggling to find though that a dude at his age, he's not a young guy, at his age with no previously diagnosed mental health issues and no real criminal history, just randomly is so angry from his mom dying that he finally decides to go. And by the way, there was absolutely no affiliation between him and the school. So if anybody's asking, did he work there? Was he fired?
Oh, I thought he went to school there. Or
as of right now, they're
faculty.
saying zero affiliation, no faculty, unless there's a relationship between him and a student there that hasn't been found yet, there is no connection. He just randomly was an angry guy from his mom dying who decided to show up to a college campus and start randomly killing people.
Yeah,
Lots
he owned.
of questions.
And of course, Biden wastes no time to declare we need to ban assault rifles.
Yeah.
Even though they aren't saying that.
Well, he was using
a handgun.
He was using an assault high point.
Oh yes, the famous assault high point.
Yeah, according to firearms transaction records,
the heat of the street.
He bought 2 firearms in 2021. One of which was a Taurus. Which one?
G2C.
G2C.
Wait, why'd you say it like that?
I'm trying to figure out the words I can use to describe it that are radio friendly, and I'm lacking.
Well, the only thing worse than a Taurus G2C is a high point.
It's a high point.
And worse in terms of
high points are pistols they're made in America. That's probably the number one thing they have going for them. They're actually made in Ohio, but they're made out of recycled toasters. And typically a
for real.
Chinese made toasters.
If you could imagine a solid lead mailbox sitting on a hammer, that's pretty much what a high point is. It's just a big block of reciprocating metal. It's not easy to reload.
Wait,
but
I thought high points were like really sexy and
no.
That's a
okay.
joke, right?
Oh.
And think of that
just the way
gun being made by blind people in Tijuana.
The way you just said
After
that though
happy hour.
makes me want to do a Photoshop with you and a high point.
Remember the stripper glitter ones they showed us at SHOT Show?
Oh yeah. We're going to get you a high point.
Oh.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going to make that commitment right now. We're going to buy you a high point.
I'd rather have a mailbox, I guess.
And we're going to get it engraved. Like when you work for a company for a long time, you get the Rolex and it's got the engraving on the back so you can never sell it.
Yeah.
We are going to get a high point and get it engraved for the work that you've done for Shots Fired all these years. What color would you like your glitter?
Pink.
Pink? Deal. So, no, but anyway, it would be interesting to find out that this shooting was done with a high point. Now, it's 50-50, high point or Taurus at this point. But
it's always one or the other.
Yeah. High point, now, they do make an excellent pistol caliber carbine. So, a 9mm rifle. Mm-hmm. They make a very, very good. By excellent, I mean it's cheap and it works.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I will say this: those carbines are great trunk guns.
Yeah,
There's
and
a lot
high
of people
points
who
are
have
great
been
guns too. I highly recommend if you need a throwaway gun. A high point is a great throwaway gun because they only cost $199 brand new.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can afford that. That's legit. Okay.
It is. You're gonna love it. I can't wait to get this done. So
it's mandatory though. If you own a high point, you have to call it a clip. You cannot say magazine.
I can do that.
That's not allowed.
So the thing
clips.
I think we should point out is from a tactical standpoint, we don't have much to say about the shooting because there's very few details about how it went down, how it became a cluster, and what law enforcement did wrong when they got there. We already pointed out they didn't cordon the place off, they didn't secure the scene. They allowed him to escape their grasp, even though he was on property shooting people for a long period of time while they were there. So I think there's some
I'm
serious
no mathematician,
questions.
But 8:30 to 11:30, that's about 3 hours, give or take.
Yeah.
That's just wild.
Right. You know,
That's
so
a long, like, if you think about the amount of damage you could do in 3 hours, it makes me wonder what else was going on, because that's an exorbitant amount of time. Like, 3 hours.
did they ever determine if he was shooting students or teachers or both?
I haven't heard anything distinguished yet, but so far it sounds like they were all students.
Yeah.
Because this was in the evening. There would be no teacher. Usually on a university campus, teachers are long gone by 8:30.
Why do you think a shooter would pick a university to go shoot people at?
Soft target.
Exactly. Because you're not allowed to carry guns. The students they're unarmed. Security is usually very lax at these universities.
Grouped together.
Yep.
Lots of large groups.
Yep.
Easy to hit.
And that's why banning the high point assault pistol is not the way to go. What we need to do is make these colleges and these schools harder targets. But we'll talk more when we come back for the next segment of Shots Fired. We'll be back after this. All right. So last week on the show, we talked about a new product that we want to make.
I'm ready for this.
We're going to piss off the ATF in a new way that's never been done before.
Oh, that one. Yeah. No. This is one of my better ideas.
This is.
Okay.
So did you
I don't
hear
have many.
that a federal judge ruled that the federal prohibition against marijuana users owning firearms is unconstitutional?
Yes, I did.
So that is huge news.
Yes.
For a lot of people in this country, as marijuana has become legal in many states for medical, for recreational use, blah blah blah, and it's falling because of the essentially the court case the Supreme Court case that establishes that a gun law has to be historic in nature. You have to be able to prove that from 1776 something like this has been in place. It's historically American, and there is no history of prohibition of anything leading to losing your Second Amendment rights, right? So like if you were drinking alcohol, you didn't lose your rights, that sort of thing. And so, they're coming after arm braces. We got the big arm brace ban going on right now.
Bump stocks.
Bump stocks were eliminated not too long ago after the Vegas shooting. President Trump, with a stroke of his pen, made millions or hundreds of thousands of Americans felons, by making the bump stock illegal. Although that has now been overturned in the 5th District, I believe. Yeah. And bump stocks are now legal to sell and possess in Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. We're looking forward to that overturning nationwide really soon. But so bump stocks are attacked, braces are attacked, and so now that marijuana using and gun ownership are symbiotic and
We've created the perfect unison.
You've
heard of the bump stock.
Check
right?
this out. A bump stock is it increases the rate of fire of a weapon, right? Which is what makes it so darn scary. My invention, thanks to Alex, it's Alex's idea, right? I'm just the money man.
Yeah.
Right? What we're going to do, though, this invention will actually slow the rate of fire of an AR-15.
By 35%.
By 35%.
You guys are up to something weird.
We are going to launch, you are hearing it here, we are going to bring to market the Bong Stock.
Yes. So I would like to warn you, TJ, there's been some recent developments that are slowing down production in R&D.
Oh, yeah?
The problem we're having...
Everybody's too stoned to, look at it?
We start... Our team has been working effortlessly and just nonstop, exhaustive research and R&D to develop the most efficient way to do this. The problem is, about 5 minutes into it, they forget what they're doing.
Yeah, that happens. We need to get it manufactured in Colorado. They're used to it out there.
They've adapted a little better,
yeah. We were not getting it manufactured in China. I want to say that now. But what we're looking to do is to create something very similar to a Magpul stock, a very quality tactical stock, sling points, adjustable length of pull, QD attachments, battery storage,
possible M-Lock upgrades.
Everything you need in a stock, except it will have a bowl on it and a little mouthpiece right by the cheek guard, right? So that you can actually do a little token while you're doing a little shooting. And
is this real?
Absolutely. The Bong stock is going to come to market, and this show is going to make that happen. But you know what? I'm actually launching another product before that.
Oh, I'm scared.
Yeah, no, you should be.
Well, we're actually gonna use you in this new product's ad campaign. As long as you're down for it.
I don't know.
Well, this is more of a tactical clothing idea, right? So imagine this.
I'm still scared.
You should be.
Imagine this. You know what tactical pants are?
Yeah.
Right, they got lots of pockets. They got lots of thicker belt loops that you can put your holster, your gun belt in.
Alex is just shaking his head.
Imagine tactical pants, but they're clear.
This sounds like it would be so New York fashion.
It gets worse.
So they're clear.
Okay.
The brand name. Are you ready?
Oh. No.
Transparent. The slogan. You can see my gender.
Okay.
It eliminates all the wondering.
Wait, is this going to be like the material that raincoats are made out of?
Yeah, I'm thinking like those clear purses that people wear.
Okay, because that would be kind of fun.
Hey, you know what? In the Senate the other day, there was a hearing, and a senator asked a transgender woman if she had a penis. And the audience was like, oh, they lost their minds because it was so rude to ask her if she had a pee-pee. But if she was wearing clear pants, transparent, he wouldn't have had to ask. I am solving the world's problems with innovative technology, bong stocks, and clear pants.
Like, we're trying to figure out if there's aliens. We're on the verge of World War III. Trains are crashing with hazardous material, but no. The country's more concerned figuring out about they, them, who, she, him.
Hey, can you imagine farting in clear pants? Will it fog up?
Bless you. I actually think it would be super fun. Like,
I see us doing a mockumentary style TV commercial for this.
I'm for it.
Where we don't show the actual thing, but we actually, you maybe start from the ankles coming up, you get to the knees, you cut to the top, and and you have the announcers saying transparent. You can see my gender.
To give like some small amount of credence to this idea,
don't
very
encourage
in
him.
right now in Hollywood for the women to, those dresses that they wear. It's like, it's not a dress. It's a top and like their underwear, which you see clearly, and then like material that is supposed to be
very sheer.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see right through it.
So
and
it's
Instagram now allows basically transparent clothing, on women, absolutely see through. So my pants are going to do extremely well. And I think transparent, think about it. It's just genius.
I'm for it.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll talk to you about modeling those. I can see the billboard now. Crystal just lay on the billboard doing on Highway 70.
Oh wait, I don't know if I want to be a model for something that has trans in the I don't know. I'm gonna have to rethink that.
I don't know either. Have you? So let's switch gears. So the left wants to take away all of our.
That was a trainee joke. Change gears.
Oh, that was good.
So
we can't have nice things.
What have you ever wondered what the world will be like in America if they ever succeed with all of the gun law stuff that they want to do to us? I actually found a news story, a recent news story from Australia, and I wanted to play it for you because I can imagine that this will be the story of future American generations if we don't continue to fight for our right to defend ourselves, to protect our Second Amendment and the Constitution of this fine country. Stand by.
Should a place in the suburbs? No, not by a long shot. Oh, wow. The police reaction. Seeing the secret entrance revealed to a gun lover's treasure trove Officers finding a range of weapons at the property, handguns, shotguns, more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition, plus a workbench equipped to modify firearms, even an underground shooting range, complete with pulley system to set the target.
A bunker, an underground shooting range, an arsenal of high-powered firearms, right in suburban Perth. It's just incredible.
The stash also included a .50 caliber rifle with ammo, a weapon designed to penetrate armoured vehicles.
Whoops. We'll tell the general to call that
Found a
later.
suppressors, which are like a silencer. That's illegal. Body armour, illegal. Unsecured ammunition and unlicensed ammunition,
Wait for
illegal.
Across Australia, it's the fear of police that guns like these can and do end up in criminal hands.
My heart sinks every time I see a firearms burglary where more than 10, sometimes 20 and 30 firearms are being taken from a house.
The bunker builder, there in the orange shirt, former professional fighter David Iceman Letizia, pleading guilty to several firearms charges. He was fined just over $3,000 with the weapons destroyed. He's also been...
Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
That's a lot to unpack.
So
there.
if you could
Okay.
see the news story, the arsenal of weapons that they were talking about were predominantly bolt-action rifles, shotguns. There was not a single AR-15 in the bunch. He did have a .50 cal bolt-action rifle, and he had 1,000
relic of the Great Emu Wars.
1,000 rounds of ammo, and he had a cool. It was kind of neat because when you walked in this guy's house, there was a pulley system that his couch lifted up, and there was an opening in the floor that walks down into the bunker.
Goals.
Yeah, and so you go down there, and there's a workbench like every American has with the reloading equipment and powder and projectiles and primers.
Yeah.
My dad had that in his basement when I was a kid. And he did have a shooting range, though. It was cool. It was one of those tubular, probably 25-yard tube underground running under his house, and it was lit up, and you could pulley the target down and shoot in his basement. And, the guy's not hurting anybody, but it's to hear the emotion of the law enforcement officers, right here in Perth, it's just disheartening. That is what we're headed towards. But the thing that got me at the end was the $3,000 fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all
Seriously,
these weapons of war.
literally, now I'm just being a schmuck. I'm gonna say it right now. You know what? You can ban machine guns in this country, ban suppressors in this country. If the fine is $3,000, you can ban everything you want. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, somebody that doesn't have 3,000 be like, hey, TJ, shh, stop. But I thought it funny. Now, of course, they destroyed all his weapons too. So that was
part
probably,
sucks. Yeah.
that was probably, like from looking at his guns, that might have been another 10 grand worth of guns.
Yeah.
And he had 1,000 rounds of ammo, so that's $500 maybe.
Yeah.
So he lost some wherewithal. Now he's got to rebuild his collection. But in America, he had a suppressor, right? In America, if we got caught with a suppressor in our bunker with, and it wasn't our suppressor. Let's say it was Alex's suppressor, and he accidentally left it at my house. I'm looking at 15 years in prison and a $250,000 fine.
Yeah, they get $3,000.
That's a statement.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that the trade-off? Could the left pass some gun laws if they made it less punishment and got rid of the 15 years and abolished the ATF shooting your dog?
I mean,
I'm not saying I would want that in any way. I'm against all gun laws. Trust me. I just like laws that I don't have to care about, like seatbelts or stop signs.
Yeah. Wait,
Speed limits. Speed limits. They're just suggestions.
I was going to say, speed suggestions I get. Stop signs I feel like are slightly important.
Well, okay. So
Slow down signs. Let's be real.
All right. Let's talk about this. Ask both of you. It's nighttime. It's 3 a.m. You're driving home. You're sober. And you get to an intersection in the country, and there's a stoplight.
I already know the answer.
And it's red.
Yep.
Do you sit at the red light at a 4-way intersection with nothing blocking your view and no cars are coming for miles around, or do you go?
Oh, I'm not sitting there. Nope.
Alex, do you obey the law? Not.
Of course I do.
So that's what I
At
mean.
Every chance I get.
That's what I mean by stop sign, stoplight, whatever. It's I often think of that. We actually did a whole I did a thing in college on that. Why you have to abide by that at night, and I think about it every night when I'm turning onto Hoff Road off of the North
What do you
Service
do?
Road. Oh, I I don't wait.
Do you come to a full and complete stop before you don't wait?
Absolutely not. No.
Does anyone?
Brakes cost money, man.
You know what? Some people do.
Yeah, some people do.
Some people will sit there.
Nerds.
Sit there,
will
look
wait
both
for the
ways,
light.
blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, so I just thought it was interesting that Australia, where they've banned all the guns, they've taken all the guns successfully.
You know what? That doesn't stop assaults or crime, though. There was a video the other day of a man getting assaulted by an Australian big jack dude with boomerangs.
Oh.
Assault boomerangs.
Yeah, assault boomerangs. He beat the living daylights out of this dude's truck and then was able to break the window. Yeah,
with the
boomerangs,
boomerang.
assault boomerangs.
Wow.
If we could figure out a way to launch assault boomerangs from F-22 Raptors at unidentified flying objects, we wouldn't have to worry about missiles hitting trains.
Next, you're going to suggest tactical didgeridoos.
That is
I
genius.
should stop talking.
Rolled
at this
off of
point.
your tongue like you had been planning that for years.
How much time we got
One
left
day
in
I
the
spent
show,
some
Drew?
time around the didgeridoos.
We're over? Uh-oh. Hey, the producer's telling us that we got to go. I hope that you've learned something today. If not, I hope we've offended you in some way. And we will be back next week. But please, please, please subscribe to our podcast. This show is available not only on 93.3, but on all podcast platforms. Just go to Apple or Android or wherever you're at, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. Search Shots Fired and look for the Spartan helmet made out of guns with the headphones on. That's us. Subscribe to the podcast and go find it on YouTube as well. Shots Fired Podcast, Tactical SHT on YouTube. Subscribe there and you can actually see our faces. We'll be back next week.